Hello, everybody. My name is Dominic Mantuano. I am the executive director of the Connecticut Burns Care Foundation, and we are here today with a very, very, very special guest. I know I've said that in the past, but guys, this time we have a great guest, and all because of this gentleman's years of experience that we've already had on, Mr. Steve Lupinacci over here. We have a former camper who is here today to join us. And I am more than excited about this. And his name is Nick Desmond. Nick, how are you today?
Hey, how's it going?
It is wonderful to have you here with us today. I can't thank you enough for joining us because we have had a lot of counselors on the show, but we haven't had a camper. Well, yes, we did. I lied to you. Kelsey's been on. And
cool.
Yeah, we had Kelsey here, but you are really special to us in the fact of the matter that you're going to explain to us today a lot of what you've done, how you've gone on, and what your experience at camp was as a camper. That's going to be phenomenal. So what I'd like to do first, if it's okay with you, Steve, how did this happen? How did we get this young man here?
All right. So from the last podcast I was on, you remember I retired from the fire service 2013. So I wanted to take a year off from working. I worked, the fire service, worked part-time a lot, my entire fire career. I want to take a year off, unwind, get stuff done around the house. And about 8 years later, I think my wife finally had it and said, how about that job? Bob Kepshar's wife works at the amphitheater, got me a job at the amphitheater. And that's from April, I said April to October. And then I was asked to work at the arena for the winter time. So That's what I do. I fluctuate between that. But the beauty of both jobs is that I could sign up for what I want to work. So if I want to work one event a month or work them all, I can do that. So I signed up like I did every year. I signed up for the Monster Truck Show.
Right.
All right. So
yeah, this one was Friday through Sunday.
Sunday, right. So Friday, they have an event. They had their event. It's going on, and I'm in the stands. I work as an usher. And part of the program is that they have motorcycles that come in. And last year it was racing around the track. This year it was jumping, making jumps. So at the end of that particular event, they introduced the riders, right, motorcycle riders. So I'm standing in the audience. I'm listening to them introduce, and the final person introduces this Nick Desmond. And I'm like, for a second, I said, well, that's a unique name, right? I mean, and I'm saying, I said, well, I know Nick Desmond. He was in camp as a camper and he loved motorcycles. And I said, what are the odds, The next day was Saturday. He had two shows. I didn't work it that day because that was the Burn Camp Gala.
Okay,
we had the dinner, right? So we had all, how it goes, all the staff members, campers come into the show, into the dinner. And after the dinner, we don't get to see each other, right? We see each other once a year. So this is it's a good way for everybody, all the staff members and, to get together. And I'm sitting at a table with Coco, Mimi, and Clarissa, and I'm telling them the story of this Nick Desmond, right? And I'm saying, it's just weird. I'm going, it's too weird, So as we're talking, Clarissa goes on her phone. She pulls his bio off. And she's reading me the bio, and I'm going to paraphrase. Just correct me if I'm wrong. And Nick goes, "Hi, I'm Nick Desmond. I grew up in Massachusetts." I go, "Well, the kid I knew grew up in Massachusetts, right? I love motorcycles since and I live in St. Augustine, Florida, where they introduced you living right in St. Augustine?
Yep, right? Down St. Augustine.
Well, what are the chances, right? So the next day on Sunday was a meet and greet. So I got in early. I was asked to come in early and do help with the meet and greet. So I'm actually on the event floor, and I'm waiting for him to come out, and I can see him pushing his motorcycle out. I stand up 15 feet away from him and go, "Hey, Nick, how you doing?" And he looks, and he's got this look in his eyes, and I'm like, "I'll give you a couple minutes to figure it out."
Yeah, man.
I said, "Nick, it's me. It's Steve from the Burn Camp." And without hesitation, it was just such a great moment. He said he put his kickstand down his motorcycle, took the motorcycle, and gave me a big hug. A big hug. A hug for like 15, 20 seconds, right, Nick? He goes, "Oh my God,
Yep.
I can't believe it." And I'm,
Hey, wait a minute. Then why can't I give you a hug?
you're not special.
You're not
Let's put
special
it out.
Hey, just go for it.
So we had about
Can't
15
stop you once you hug him.
So we had about a 15-minute conversation about, quickly about things, what he was doing and what I was doing, and asked about some certain if some of the counselors were still in camp, like Billy Lavin and Bruce and Mike Roberts. And I told him, two of them are not there and the other two are not. And I think his nickname in camp, correct me if I was wrong, I remember this thing was Crash, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Oh, that's not good for a motorcycle ride.
Because every year he'd come into camp, he had some type of injury. Remember when you had a Band-Aid over his nose, right? You broke your nose, I think it was.
Probably.
You break your wrist or something?
Probably.
Yeah, I did that one.
Cast on your wrist? It's all related to the motorcycle, right? right. I just kind of remember. So I asked Billy. I called Billy Lavin. I talked to Billy. I said, "Hey, talk to Nick. Oh my God, how's he doing?" And I said, but the beauty of this entire process, which never happened to me before, was right before we said goodbye, and we had switched, our telephone numbers. I had to keep in touch with each other. Was he came over, he gave me another hug. I don't know if you remember that, and he goes, "Listen,
Yeah.
If I've never told you this," he goes, "I want to thank you and everybody for allowing me the opportunity to come to camp. And it really made me who I am today." So I said to him, I look at him and I go, "Nick, if nobody's told you this, I'm going to tell you how proud I am of you and the person you become," right?
Look at this.
So, it was really you kind of like look at the entire world, right? That's how I look at it. And what were the chances and a little speck of, dirt, I'm just saying in Bridgeport, Connecticut, that we would hook up after how many years, Nick? 14 years, somewhere around there? When did you come?
Yeah, it's gotta be.
Well, you came when you were
Probably stopped coming.
9 years old. You were in camp till 13 or 14 or 12. I can't remember now.
13 or 14, I think, because it was like right around middle school, high school,
Right.
About that time.
Right.
That's wonderful. Well, Nick, let me ask you this. Now that we got that story from Steve, which is, listen, wow, just wow, it takes my breath away. This is one of the reasons why I'm so blessed to be the executive director for stories like this. Nick, let me ask you something. What you said to Steve at the end that was so remarkable was that you brought all these feelings back. What did it do for you at becoming who you are today? Why don't you give us a little bit of that experience, what you think about the camp for the Connecticut Burns Care Foundation, the burn camp, the Arthur C. Luff burn camp?
I think the biggest thing out of the camp, right? Like when you're a kid, you don't really understand what goes into the world, like what has to happen what goes into anything to make anything come from it. And like, as I've gotten older, I started thinking about it a little bit in high school and through college. And now I just look back and I'm like, what a special place that is. And it's incredible to me that it's ran by volunteers. That the camp's able to take all these kids, put them away for a week, and have this awesome experience. And it just really all the good that goes in to create something like that. As I've gotten older, I've become a lot more aware of it. And it's just such a awesome place. Like you go away for a week and you just don't think about anything but having fun. Like,
and Nick, that is probably the biggest response we get, is that the kids forget about what it is that got them there in the first place. They just go to have fun, to be a kid. You just hit it on the head. Now, if you don't mind, give us a little bit about this background about your love of motorcycles and why were you there to meet Steve? Like, what were you doing? Give us a little background on that. This is a major accomplishment.
All right. Well, before I get into that, I do just want to touch on one other thing that was kind of cool. I was in Jersey, in Newark, and I'd actually reached out to Ron O'Dowd, and he came out not that weekend, but a couple weeks later. I was in Elmont Park, which is like New York City. And he actually came out and caught a show too. So as I'm going to all these, I'm like, man, I know a lot of firefighters and people down in the Jersey area. Like, I should reach out.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then running into Steve, I was like, oh, this is freaking awesome.
What are the chances? This is great. So what is it that you're doing that you're getting to meet all these people, to see them again?
So,
what is this?
In short, the way that I got here is, when I was a kid, I was fortunate enough. I saw a dirt bike and like just knew. I'm like, wait, you can do that? And my dad was amazing, and he got me involved with it. And I mean, since that day when I was a kid, like I've always been like, man, this is freaking awesome. I've always found a way to stay involved. I raced a little bit growing up and worked for the race series in college. And when I was in college, I'm like, oh man, if I get this degree, I don't have to stop riding dirt bikes and I can still like live on my own.
That's awesome.
And through that, at one point I had gained some weight, lost some weight, and then just had way more fun riding and fell into freestyle through making friends in the sport, which is, for those of you who don't know, you have like think like X Games, the guys backflip a dirt bike. I don't flip, not yet at least. But I kind of stumbled into it, enjoyed the challenge of it with the risk, and just
It's coming.
stuck with it and got a chance to interview when I moved to Florida. I moved to Florida in 2021, midsummer.
Okay.
Made some friends down here, ended up getting in touch bizarrely with the team owner who's hired by Monster Jam to supply riders.
Great.
And I did well enough for the interview for them to be like, yeah, we could use you next year. And now I'm just trying to chase a dream. I'm still young enough to do it. And that's how I've gotten involved with Monster Jam.
Well, there you go. And there is what I'm talking about. This is why I am so honored you are with us today, my friend, because you see, you just said the words, you're chasing a dream. Nothing held you back. Nothing holds you back. But you realized at a young age, you don't have to be held back. There is everything in front of you. If you can dream it, you can do it. That's what Walt Disney said. And I want all of our, what I call champions, I've been calling them champions, all of our champions who are out there, if you had something to tell them from your experience, you said camp really made a difference. What would be the one message you'd like to give all of our champions who are going to see this? Everybody around, this goes around the world. Whoever wants to punch in can see this podcast. What do you want to give other survivors, those champions? What's that message you want to give that, hey, go for your dreams and fly?
Well, I don't want it to sound cliche, but like, if you find something, whatever it may be, I don't care if it's knitting or if it's shooting archery, or maybe you learn the real like ropes courses or riding motorcycles or whatever it is. Like, you're never going to get to where the best in the world are quickly. It's usually like a lot of hard work and dedication. So rather than focus on the end, just find a way to stay involved with what you love, and whatever that may look like, just keep chasing it, keep chipping away at it, and do it because you enjoy it. You just find that, and whatever it may be, and chase it.
Well, Nick, that is something that's really, really, that's what I needed to hear from you. That's what they need to hear from you. That's what our listeners, our viewers need to hear from you, because you are the living example of that.
I think one of the really amazing things at the camp, right? So, all week you're constantly doing something, whether you're down at the waterfront, you're going out on the kayaks or the boats, or if you're over fishing, or if you're down at archery, or if you're down at the ropes course, or whatever kind of games and activities you might be playing up at the mess hall, or just all the different activities that someone can be exposed to there. I've never been to a ropes course since I went to the camp, right? Like, easy example. That's the only time I ever got to do that. But, I think for all the campers and kids that are going there for the first time or returning, you get so many opportunities to go way out of your comfort zone and get exposed to so many different things that could in itself change the direction of someone, what they want out of life. They could be like, hey, this is really cool, I want to get into rock climbing, let alone all the memories and everything and the experiences that you get to have when you're there. That in itself, just to be able to help somebody else find that in life, would be, how could you not want to be a part of that?
You know what? That's absolutely beautiful. So we're finding ourselves at the end of our time here. Nick, I just want to say that what you just described and how you described it, we couldn't have asked for anything better. Hey, Nick, listen, we're coming to the end of our time. I want to thank you very much for coming on and being a part of this with us. Steve, I want to thank you very much for this encounter that you found, Nick. Nick, unfortunately for you, now that we found you, we're not letting go, brother. This
Yeah,
is the
no
beginning
complaints
of
here.
a beautiful friendship. We're really going to get you involved here, and I want to thank you. So, on behalf, Clayton, thank you again for everything you do for the CBCF. You know how much we appreciate you. I am Dominic Mantuano. I am the executive director of the Connecticut Burns Care Foundation, and together we want to see you at the Arthur C. Luff Camp, or come on and join us through www.ctburnsfoundation.org. Give us a call. That's our website. Go see us on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram. Come out and you can get in touch with us any way you want, and we will see you real soon.